Peter Fiduccia's Adventures is brought to you by Newfoundland and Labrador Outfitters Association, Arctic Cat, Swarovski Optic, Hipstick, Olympia, Chestnut Hill Outdoors, Winchester Ammunition, Wrangler Pro Gear, and True Life Taxidermy.
We have is 192 acres, and that's not counting the land my cousin has and the land that we lease in between
It really is phenomenal
about
land.
450 acres. So
Your own private enclave.
yes, a lot of work, but well worth it. Yes. Hello everyone, and welcome to Woods and Waters. This week we're really happy to have Bob Wallace from Chestnut Hill Outdoors. Bob owns a big nursery, and he has an outdoor division where you sell chestnut trees, fruit trees, chestnut magic, correct?
All kinds of food plot trees for attracting deer and wildlife.
Yeah, and that's what this program's all about. Normally we do our food plot segments, my food plot book. It's all really basically the traditional type of food plots, the clovers, the brassicas, the small grains, all that type of thing. Yep. But what we really lack is giving information to people about trees, although there's a really nice chapter in our book about that. Yes, so often it's overlooked. And trees are an important element. And some advice before we get into what we're going to do here. Let's say you have a place that you want to put in some trees. If your neighbors have apple trees, put pear. If your neighbors have pear, put apple. If they have pear and apple, put peach. Put something on your property that someone else doesn't have close by to you. And you're going to find that that's going to be a magnet to draw in deer. But if you really want to improve your property, your overall program of planting food plots, you have to seriously consider chestnut trees. And chestnut trees have been indigenous to the Northeast and New England, and even further than that for I can't say more than, I guess I can say more than
1,000,000 years. Oh yeah.
I was going to say more than 10,000 years, but 1,000,000 years, there you go. And so it's a natural for anyone within that zone. And that's why I asked Bob, who is an expert in this, to come up and talk to us about this and to help us plant a few trees in order for me to learn a little more about it. Even though I think I know enough, I can never know enough. You could always learn more.
Absolutely.
And this guy goes back to his father doing it and his grandfather doing it. And so I've got an expert, I'm going to learn. And I'm going to share that with you today. One of the things I want to be sure I get out about chestnut trees, Bob, is their ability to draw deer. And you have had experience in a lot of different states other than New York. And what are you hearing?
As a food plot tree, chestnuts are the single best tree for attracting deer. Of course, they were the original hardwood tree, the majority of the forest throughout eastern United States, and they were killed by disease in the early 1900s. The chestnut blight, introduced accidentally from China. My grandfather was a plant breeder, and he bred a chestnut hybridizing a single American tree found in a grove of dead ones, still alive, with Chinese chestnut. The blight came from China, so Chinese chestnut have resistance.
Right.
By crossing the two, he came up with a hybrid that not only has blight resistance, but has good tree form and big nuts. And
that's what I call big nuts. Oh my goodness, look at the size of that.
We've been selling trees to orchardists for 30 years. The biggest problem the orchardists have is the deer are eating all their harvest. Guys are having to fence 50-acre orchards to keep the deer out.
And that turned the light on.
And that was the aha moment that there are a lot of people out there who want to attract deer to their property. So there's a lot of advantages. You plant an oak tree, it could take 10, white oak, 20 years before you see your first acorn.
A minimum.
So chestnuts will bear, a 1-year tree will bear in 3 to 5 years under good conditions. By 5 years, you're going to start to get harvest. And we've seen orchards in Connecticut, this far north, this cold, in Pennsylvania, in Pike County, Illinois, and throughout the rest of the United States, that they're producing 10 to 20 pounds of nuts per tree after only 10 to 12 years. It's hands down.
There is no doubt in my mind about that. I mean, it's an easier nut to break through, it's a tastier nut, it's less tannin, the whole bit. So stick with us. We're going to show you all the hows, wheres, and whys of why you need to do this and why it'll change your entire hunting life. I mean, it's that dramatic. It will make a major difference for you. Yes or no?
Absolutely.
This segment of Woods and Water Big Game Adventures has been brought to you by Hipstick, Hunter's shooting rest designed to hunt. This segment of Woods and Water Big Game Adventures is brought to you by Newfoundland and Labrador Outfitters Association.
Well, you know, one of the most important things about planting anything, whether it's a food plot, whether it's trees, you got to be prepared.
Got to have all the tools.
And you have to have everything laid out prior to going up and doing the work.
You've got everything here you need. We've got shovels, obviously, and an auger for the tractor. Post hole digger for smaller size trees.
Or rocks.
Or rocks to get out of the way. Big pair of loppers in case you need to do any pruning. T-posts to hold up the wire for this hook. It's hung there. There you go. All right, line it up nice and neat. And then feed it in through a hole and out around a couple wires and you're done. 5-gallon buckets to haul water, flags to lay out the orchard with, tape measure to be able to measure the trees in between.
No guessing. We don't want to be guessing how far the trees are apart. We want to know.
And it looks nice when you lay it out.
Yeah,
lay it out
aesthetically it looks pretty. We got a bunch of little pruners and wire cutters and pliers to twist the wire. This is 6-foot high wire.
And that's good because that gets up above the browse line.
Yeah.
So you're going to protect the trees as high as the deer can eat.
If you want chestnuts or fruit, you got to protect the trees while they're young. There's no getting around that fact. A little bit of work, but it's not that bad to get through. So we got everything here.
Yep.
I even bought these, what they call tree mats. We're going to lay out some black plastic underneath them, but those tree mats are heavy enough that they're really going to hold down the weeds even coming through those.
It's really important. The biggest competitor for the young roots of the tree for water and fertilizer is grass and weeds, and you've got to keep that down or it's going to steal nutrients and water from the young trees.
My plan here is real simple. In 5 years, I want enough chestnut trees here producing enough mast that I'm going to be drawing deer in everywhere. Not every food plot has to be alfalfa or clovers or brassicas.
Chestnuts are a really unique tree from a number of reasons. And not only did deer evolve with chestnuts over the last million years as their primary food source during the rut, during the fall harvest season, the nuts are high in carbohydrate, they're high in protein, they have more carbos and more protein than acorns.
We're excited about this because, you know, one of the other things about this food plot that we're putting in is that it's not going to require work every year other than taking care of the trees.
Water is the essential key part about
life.
Planting of everything and about planting trees. You have to water them in at planting. And if it's not raining, you need to be getting 5 gallons or more of water per tree per week if you possibly can.
Okay.
You know, if you put them out and you don't water them, and we have a dry summer like 2 years ago, you're going to lose your investment.
And look, it's farming. I don't care if you're planting food plots, traditional food plots with the brassicas and the small grains and the clovers and the legumes. You can lose a plot to drought, you can lose a plot to rain, you can lose a plot to cold weather, to hail. Same thing with a tree. It's farming. Not everything is going to be guaranteed. That's a promise. But if everything goes right, even if it's a year where there's low water, so your trees might take another year or two to develop the chestnuts.
Correct, right.
But if you water them properly, you might get your chestnuts 3 to 5 years.
Exactly. And
as opposed to 5 to 7. So it's not that you're not going to get chestnuts, you're just not going to get the kind of harvest you're looking for as quickly as you might.
Absolutely. No, that's correct. All correct.
Yeah.
This segment of Woods and Water has been brought to you by Swarovski Optic. See the unseen. This segment of Woods and Water Big Game Adventures is brought to you by Olympia. Integrity, quality, and performance since 1908.
We got 3 of the 17 trees that we're going to plant right here. What I did to prepare for this plot is I took an area that's not so far away from our house and our shed, a couple of 100 yards, Our shooting shed for our shooting range is behind us, but we get the deer all through here. I have a lot of food plots all through here. There's chicory right out there and clover there. The point is there's a lot of food plots up there. I don't need more attraction there. So I want them down in here. And that's important. When you're putting in your trees, think about these things. South is this way, so I'm going to put them on the hill. We got good drainage coming off this hill, so I know they'll get plenty of water here.
Chestnuts are susceptible to root rot, so you want to keep them in an area that has good soil drainage. The side of this hill is absolutely perfect. Good sunlight, good
I did my
soil.
homework. I read your website. I read the instructions.
A lot of good information on there.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely. And that's important. These, by the way, are what, 8-10 foot trees?
And they are, this is their third leaf.
Third leaf.
Yep,
okay.
and you can see that a few of the trees actually have flowers starting to come out on them.
Yeah, I was really disturbed when they got hit by that hail, but
they'll come back from that. Once they're in the ground and the roots root in,
right,
they'll put out another flush of growth and they'll be fine.
We're going to start marking our trees so that when I'm done with this, it's going to not only look nice, but it's going to be I'm going to be able to get in to mow it, and keep the competition of the grass down, all that kind of thing. And if you're looking for these chestnut trees, by the way, something we didn't mention before, you can find them in Walmart and all the other places you mentioned.
A lot of feed and seed stores.
3 gallon, 5 gallon, and that's
7, and we also grow trees as old as 4-year trees in 30-gallon pots, and even some larger stuff that's already in production, so you can get directly from our farm. Personally,
I would spend the money to buy a 7 to 30 gallon.
Even a larger tree, right?
A larger tree. You're going to get chestnuts in 3 years.
Or maybe even sooner.
Maybe even sooner. So there you go. It's worth the dollars and cents if this is going to be an important part of your food plot management program.
Especially if you're an old guy like you, that you don't want to wait, right?
Can you hold on a moment? I want to take over. So when I hit him with a bare fist. That's very true, though. I'll be 68 in August. I don't want to be doing more work than I have to.
Exactly. You want to get in a hurry.
All right, let's lay it out. An angle this way?
Yeah, if you want to.
Okay. Go.
All right.
Okay, those are the 3.
There's 3.
And
the 4th one in.
if you don't mind, I want to mark them because I'm gonna keep planting them.
Yep. Hold that fun.
Although he'll get a little bit of work done on camera here today, he's basically taking some video and stills. We're going to be doing a book about planting not only chestnuts but all types of fruit trees and everything else, so we're getting some photos, and that's Cody's job.
Photo man today.
I'm sorry?
Photo man today.
Photo man today. Bob on tractor.
That's right.
Peter doing all the hard work. You're witnessing it, folks. You're seeing it live. I always take on the job.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I implore you.
This segment of Woods and Water Big Game Adventures has been brought to you by Chestnut Hill Outdoors, quality Dunstan chestnut and fruit trees. Welcome back to Woods and Water. This segment is brought to you by Arctic Cat, share our passion.
Okay, here we go.
What we want to do now is just widen the hole a little bit.
It's just beautiful soil. There's some roots there that have hit the side of the pot. You can see those young feeder roots. Those are good there.
The ones on the bottom.
Yep, those white roots. That's where all the nutrients are absorbed from.
Okay.
This is pretty typical soil for Pennsylvania, New York. And this is all native chestnut country.
What I like to do is use the back of the shovel to create the dam.
The key element here is you want to get all the air pockets from around the roots. Take your shovel, it's kind of work it in. And it's called mudding it in.
Okay.
And if those air pockets will stop those young roots from growing. And that, Mr. Fiduccia, is all it takes. And even if you don't have a cage that is this tall, it still gets it above the browse line so that you've got the deer are not chewing on it. Right. And by leaving these lower limbs on this first year, they feed the tree because they've got extra leaf area, and this one had some damage from the hailstorm. Right. So you want to leave it. You need as much green chlorophyll as possible to help this tree grow. Okay. One of the other critical things, another reason for using the weed mat, is that you can see that the trunk of this tree is green. It has chlorophyll in the bark. You can kill a chestnut tree with Roundup just like that by spraying the trunk. So the weed mat means that you've got more protection where you're not spraying close. You're going to be spraying out here, but also don't spray on a windy morning. And put a dye. They make purple or orange dye that you mix in with the Roundup so you can see the droplets, because it only takes a few droplets on the trunk to kill a young tree, and I know that by personal experience. Wow. So you be real careful with herbicide, especially Roundup, on a young chestnut tree. The grow tubes protect it really well for Roundup at an early stage. Right. Because what happens inside that grow tube is that it actually collects the moisture that breathes off the leaves at night during transpiration. That's part of the photosynthetic process. And that moisture condenses on that tube and recycles back down to the roots.
I think we have really started something here on our farm that's going to turn our attracting of deer into chestnut magic.
Absolutely.
Not the chestnut magic of the bag, but chestnuts from these trees. It's going to help. It's going to draw bucks that then I know they're not going to get the chestnuts anywhere else.
Even if you have a small piece of land and you're surrounded by other farms,
it works.
You have a 5-acre backyard and you plant an acre of chestnuts out there. Right. You're going to be the only one around. They're going to come to your property even with a little piece of land.
I can't tell you how many people tell me about planting food plots. I only have a total of a ½ acre. Well, take that ½ acre, divide it in half, right? Do a couple of little small plots on one side of it, and put a few chestnut trees in on the other side of it, or maybe even on the whole thing.
Plant them around the perimeter.
4 corners.
Right, put them around the perimeter.
Now, you've got a plot that's going to be a perennial.
Absolutely. No, that's correct.
Okay, well, there you have it, folks. What Bob's doing right now, he's putting some water into the bucket that I drilled a hole in. And as you can see, that water is just dripping out of there at a very slow pace. And now I can come up here and water these trees by taking the water, putting it in the tractor, coming up, filling these like this. And I got 5 gallons of water going into that tree. And this whole process went pretty smoothly, from the drilling of the holes in the field here to putting the wire down. We used plastic ties to hold these together, and we got a professional look and setup here. I think we got everything we need to tell the folks. There's more to say about chestnut magic. We'll do that before Bob leaves. Where it's legal. It's not legal here in New York State, but we've used it where we hunt in New Jersey. I have witnessed mature does literally kicking the snot out of not only other families that come in, other doe families that come in, but young bucks, fawns, and yearlings, uppercutting them to get at this stuff.
Everybody has told me that same story. They compete with each other to get it.
What's in here?
Chestnuts, pure dried chestnuts, and rice bran, and a mix of other nutrients, and that's it. No artificial flavors.
Real chestnuts.
Real chestnuts. No artificial flavors.
I know that. I've seen it, but I just want to get the point across to you folks. You're not putting down cardboard
or paper mache with artificial flavoring.
You're putting down real stuff, and that's why they beat each other up to get to it.
Make sure you look for Chestnut Magic
on the label. It'll be available this fall as part of Mossy Oak's Whitetail Addiction Attractants.
And it's affordable. About
$12.99 a bag.
can't get hurt.
You'll never find an attractant that works better.
And I appreciate everything
This
you've
has been
done,
a real pleasure to be
including
here.
coming all the way up from Florida to do this with
Well,
us.
I appreciate the invitation. I'm happy to be here. So
thank you.
you have a beautiful piece of land.
You can eat it, but traditionally the chestnut tree is called the bread tree because the nuts are used like bread.
Amazing tree.
Chestnut
Quality.
makes good beer too.
Chestnut does?
Chestnut beer is a very common beer in the mountains in Italy.
Wow.
And
My ancestors know their stuff.
Game on the land.